What's going on, folks? Ted from Nerd Immersion here, and if you missed it this past weekend, or I guess, well, now we're in this weekend, so the previous weekend was both TwitchCon and Gamehole Con, so a lot of convention stuff going on, but at Gamehole Con, Wizards of the Coast had presence there, and a handful of their team were there to talk about things that are coming out with the 50th anniversary, and kind of reiterating and driving home the point of stuff we've kind of already heard so far this year. We had the D&D Direct, we had our the Content Creator Summit, they were present at Gen Con, so a lot of that stuff has been further sort of boiled down and refined the more appearances they've had. So I'm thinking if you take a look at all this stuff, it'll kind of corroborate some of what we've already seen. And then I also thought of some other stuff that was mentioned at the Gen Con panels that I thought was worth bringing up again, because this kind of just brings it all to light. So without further ado, let's go. This is all coming from articles and things posted over on N-World. A handful of folks who attended Gamehole Con chimed in, but it looks like we might be seeing some return to classic adventures, possibly a 50th anniversary book itself. We'll go ahead and read through what we've got there, and you can let me know your thoughts. All right, so here is the article. I'll put a link to this in the description down below. Here you can see the D&D team. It looks like it's more of a casual conversation. Well, you can see everybody up here, right? Justice, Bill Benham, Amanda Heyman, Latia, Chris Lindsay, Ron Lundeen, and then obviously Mr. Perkins over here in the corner. So this sort of slide that you see here, this is pretty much what we talked about. I think I have pictures of very similar things from Gen Con, nothing crazy. It says, Chris talked about how their adventures take this fine line of between having too much and overwhelming new people. The new core rules will have an update to art and format. We know this. Gateway to new players. They mentioned Tasha's Bubbling Cauldron as a spell. Okay, so that might be a new spell. All 3 books will have mostly new art. We knew this already. They said 2 of them, from 2 concept artists that worked on both Obi-Wan and the Avatar show, so that's pretty cool. They wanted to say that what the DM book will do. It'll have handouts and tools to help you organize and build your notes, show how to build a campaign. There'll be new magic items to fill in more rarity niches and more cool common ones. That's new information. That's very exciting. And we'll finally get the 1980 cartoon series magic items, something that Chris seemed almost giddy about. So again, that's not true, though. We did actually receive those magic items in D&D 3.5. There was a collector's edition version of, I guess not in an official book, so consider that. There was a collector's edition version of the There was a collector's edition version of the D&D cartoon. It was like a brown kind of faux, it was a DVD case, but it kind of looked like a book. And inside that, I believe it had cards that had all of the weapons and magic items from all of the D&D cartoon, but in D&D 3.5 stat blocks. I remember very specifically because Hank's energy bow was like the best magic item that existed in the game for 3.5 because it lets you shoot magic arrows as a whole thing. But it looks like we're finally going to get those canonically in a printed book for for 5th edition, which looks like to be the new Dungeon Master's Guide. Monster Manual will have more high-level creatures, and they noted things that they put in stat blocks that were missing before, like proficiency bonus. Again, that's for older stuff. The newer stuff does include proficiency bonus. Romp Around the Multiverse. I don't think that's a new book title, but it's kind of a new anthology book that revisits all the things they've done in D&D, a 50th anniversary book. Chris actually ran the Ravenloft adventure at the convention. I wish I'd captured the events he ran. Chris started to display cool secrets. I'm not sure if any of these are separate books or part of the above-mentioned book, but I think they are separate books the way Chris was hinting. There's no way I could get all the screenshots. So here's some clear images that I got here. You could see this. The missing last image was my biggest regret. It was a cute, fluffy bunny on a stump. Oh, the agony. Yeah, I got Chris. I got a selfie with Chris. That's a consolation prize. So I'll spill more. I'm not sure, but they indeed seem to be talking about multiple books and this new book for the 50th. The key to me is that the 50th book is a visit to all of the 5e adventures, and the stuff that isn't from those are either for the story to tie them together or from other books. The bunny was undead, a sheep in wolf's clothing. This is an older D&D creature. I've heard of this in the past. Brand new painting, didn't recognize the artist. My joke was that the rod would fall apart way too easily, and as they tried to hint what it was. I think this is supposed to be a new version of the Rod of Seven Parts, perhaps. So from what I gather from what they're talking about, a D&D 50th anniversary book, an Endless Stair book, a Rod of Seven Parts book, an Expedition to Barrier Peaks, and I think that's so can't. I'm sorry, guys. Please note, all these are all guesses by me. Chris did say that the D&D 50th book has been announced. I looked. I haven't found anything. If you guys find anything about the 50th anniversary book, let me know. There are some folks who said, with the caveat that the only source I have is Facebook, posted a Planescape group. Another Gamehole Con goer claims they hinted at the books being based around the Rod of Seven Parts and the Infinite Staircase for 2024. So yeah, we have a handful of different things. Tales from the Infinite Staircase, an anthology of classic D&D adventures, maybe some new ones from a variety of settings in the multiverse. Rod of Seven Parts, a smorgasbord supplement with odds and ends like the Deck of Many Things that can serve as ingredients in homebrewed epic quests or one-shots with ties to greater lore. So again, it's kind of all shots in the dark at the moment, right? People it sounds like they didn't full out come out and say. Again, I went around and looked to try to find anything on a 50th anniversary book. I'd actually heard this. I think somebody had a slip of the tongue. Someone that I was talking to, I don't even remember who it was, but it was somebody who works with WotC in the industry, and I really can't remember who it was. But they mentioned that they knew about one other book that was coming out next year. Because I had made the comment, like, right now, when the Book of Many Things comes out, we're out of content that we know about for 5th edition, right? We knew we had, and the Book of Many Things, Deck of Many Things is supposed to be out, I think, in print. The digital version will be out on Halloween. The print version's like the 15th of November. And then it's just dead air. We have nothing. We know at some point next year, the 2024 rulebooks are coming out. We don't know when. They still haven't finished playtesting things, so I can't imagine it's going to be first quarter. I'm thinking third or fourth. And again, if what they had told us at the Content Creator Summit and everything was true, they're not going to release them as one all at once. They're going to do like the Player's Handbook, Monster Manual, Dungeon Master's Guide. It's going to be a staggered release, which means, again, that's probably, I'm assuming it's not going to be 2 in the same month, but we've seen crazier things. So yeah, if you find anything about this 50th anniversary book, they did talk a little bit about the different adventures they were going to be doing in the D&D Direct, right? They talked about how Vecna's coming back, how Venger from the cartoon's coming back, stuff like that. So maybe we'll see one of those as the adventure book for 2024. But as it stands right now, we don't know anything. But like I said, I had heard that someone knew of a book coming out in 2024, which my gut was like early 2024 based on the conversation. But either way, the last thing I wanted to talk to you about was this. This was what they had said at Gen Con, referring to Unearthed Arcana. It said right here, Articles 1 to 5 were experimentation for Unearthed Arcana. I might actually break this out into a separate video, but they said 6 through 9 would be refinements for the Player's Handbook, right? They were workshopping a bunch of stuff in Articles 1 through 5. Then in 6 through 9, they were going to kind of refine that. And then 10 plus would be Monster Manual and Dungeon Master's Guide. We obviously know they broke that entirely because they went with Unearthed Arcana number 8 being the Bastions and a couple of spells. The Bastions we know are coming in the Dungeon Master's Guide, so they kind of broke their own cadence, which I always said, you're going to do at least... They had at least, again, I don't think 8 counts. I think that's more of a DMG one. Unless you're counting the couple of new cantrips in there, you're counting those as Player's Handbook refinements. You still have to have at least one more because you've only given the monk 1 round of playtest out of all of the things, which I feel like was probably one of the ones that needs a lot more, especially given the updates you made. But basically, once they, in theory, if this one counts, or maybe 2 more, they're done playtesting whatever they were going to do for the 2024 Player's Handbook. Which then means, in theory, that's ready to come out once all of the final refinements and edits have been done. So they're already changing this. So also take everything with a grain of salt from what we heard from Gen Con, or from Gamehole Con, rather, because we saw this at Gen Con on a slideshow that they prepared, and they obviously broke away from this themselves. So, like I said, hopefully, I think they're going to be at PAX Unplugged coming up in a couple weeks from now, about a month from now. And if that's the case, I will hope to attend whatever those panels are and report out on what new information we get. I'm hoping we'll see one more Unearthed Arcana in sometime in the November timeframe, so that we'll have that to have possibly better conversations at PAX Unplugged, so we can get maybe a little bit more concrete evidence of what to expect going into 2024. But I don't know. Let me know your thoughts and opinions in the comments down below, and I'll see you all next time.